Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you see my video for the very first time, hi, it's nice to meet you, and if you're returning, thank you for coming right back. It's a pleasure to have you guys here in my corner, and thanks for your support. I'm grateful. So today we're going to be talking on a topic that happens in our lives, especially as married people or even in relationships, okay? And personally, I'm pumped to talk about it because I feel like it's something that tends to happen all the time. It's just that we don't really pay attention to it. We just want to, we feel like it's the right thing to do. We don't pay attention to it to know that it can be a root cause of some problems in the marriage or in your marriage. Do you get? So on today's episode of Real Life Issues in Marriage, I'm going to be talking about micromanaging your husband, micromanaging your spouse as a wife, not as a husband now, okay? Because I feel like the majority falls on we the women, because we're grown from a very tender age to be self-sufficient, to be clean, to be hygienic, to be hardworking, especially to be domesticated and stuff. So it falls majorly on us, get. But on the other hand, our counterparts, which are the male, I often heard. I grew up with 4 brothers, okay, 3 because I eventually lost one. But I always heard, although my mom did a good job raising my male siblings, you grow up with this mentality that, okay, things have to be in place, things have to be kept properly, things have to be that, things have to be this. I now marry a man who doesn't really care. He doesn't really care. He can drop things anywhere, he can do whatever he wants to do. I'm not saying all men are like that actually, but you cannot compare the way women behave to the way men behave. We are way more than, even when you see a man who, in fact, in amongst like 10 women, you can hardly see one man who has that level of self-awareness, okay, who has that level of being of knowing what to do, when to do it, unless, for example, in their specialized fields. Do you understand? But when it comes to the homemaking, it is really hard to see a man who will take charge in that area. So you get into marriages with these people, and you realize that your husband throws his clothes here, throws it there. He doesn't care. He doesn't mind even wearing one outfit for like twice. Do you get? So it's that can be that bad, and you feel like, okay, the only thing you can do right now is tell him what to do, micromanage him, tell him, okay? He doesn't pay attention to his hygiene, his personal hygiene, or doesn't pay attention to his health, okay? He eats whatever comes. No, men and food, they love food a lot. He eats whatever comes, and just give me, and you're like, no, do this instead, eat this instead, I won't give you this, I'll give you this, I won't give you this. Okay, you're treating him like a child, making it look as if he's a baby. That's what micromanaging is. And we as women, we come in, I don't know, we have the alpha female and the beta female. You get? The alpha female is a lady who don't try to get me wrong, there are people who are, in fact, we are meant to have the two of these characteristics in us, like as women, okay? But there are areas in which we can't make use of the other. For example, I'm going to give you the characteristics of an alpha female. Okay, the characteristics is we are very ambitious, okay, and it should actually help us in our work areas or whatever it is we find ourselves doing, okay? We are ambitious, we are proficient, we are outspoken, we don't like to keep things to ourselves, we don't have the patience when we see that things are wrong, we want to say it out, like we must be heard. That's one of the attributes of an alpha female. While on the other side, the beta female is somebody who I won't say, of course, she knows what the alpha knows, okay, but unlike the alpha, she doesn't want to like jump up and start talking because she needs to be heard. She's more laid back, she's more reserved. She's just, she's just viewing and taking it all in. They don't really talk all the time. That's and I'm a better female. And I'm going to tell you how this kind of affects this topic I'm talking about right now, and why I'm bringing it up. Okay, the alpha female, like I said earlier, they speak their mind a lot. They don't even have the time. You're making them angry. They tell you straight up, this thing you're doing, I don't like it. Do it like this, do it like that. You get into an argument with your husband, or your husband brings up, or you guys are discussing on a particular topic. You want to share your views, like you want your views to be heard. You have sense. You are brilliant. You want to know. You get, but a better female is somebody who, because of how reserved she is, she takes in her environment. She has already studied her spouse. You get, so whenever they're in an argument or conversation, whenever they're in a conversation, when she has understood the kind of person she is with, because she has studied him and she's not quick to talk, what happens is she already knows the kind of responses to give. She might not even decide to air her own views or say her own opinions, because she wouldn't want him to feel like she's trying to counter him. So she'll just be relaxed and have you have a field day with whatever it is you're trying to say. Do you get the point? But an alpha female on the other hand, which I find myself guilty of that, would want to talk. I mean, let me say what is in my mind. This is it. This is how it's supposed to be, because you think you know it all. Okay, I'm not saying it's actually wrong, but they both have their advantages. For instance, the alpha female on the other hand, in a work setting, you see that she's very, very bright, she's very, very outspoken, she's ambitious, she's a goal getter, you know, she's there, want to do this, want to do that, and in time. But in the home space, in the home front, like when it comes to at home, where your spouse is involved, you get, that might not be the best criteria to make use of in your home, or the best traits to bring out in your home, because it's more like, I mean, we're Christians, okay, and we know that the man on the other hand is meant to be our head. Do you get? And if every single time we're trying to counter him, we're trying to bring up our opinions and expect us to be heard every single time, it's just end up like turning the whole thing upside down. It won't really tally. I mean, you don't expect our husbands to follow everything we have to say. Hell no. Rather, because he's been appointed head over us, we are meant to listen to whatever he says. And just like the better female, if eventually whatever he says doesn't really tally, what happens is this: we don't go off trying to make a point. We don't go off trying to say, we must do this, we have to do that. Instead, you don't force a man. It's just like two people trying to drive one car. It's not possible. You get, for instance, you are struggling the steering, he's struggling the steering. What eventually happens is the car ends up crashing. You get, so what happens is the other person has to just relax in the passenger seat. Even if the driver is driving to the wrong place, all you have to do is to say quietly and as calmly as possible. You don't order and say, stop the car now, don't go there, As much as you are in the car already, you can just impute your own observations and stuff, and eventually if you decide to take it, no problems. If not, I mean, you cannot come and stretch yourself. Do you get? So it's equally very, very important to know when to make use of your, and that's why I said in the beginning of this video that the alpha and the beta female traits, we're meant to have the both, especially if you're somebody who you're going to become a mom. You can use all of that. You can use the alpha traits on your children, where you need to tell your children, do this, do that, and you have to be stern on whatever it is you're talking to them about. But you can't use it on the oga, the top, your husband. You really can't. You get, because it is not supposed to be so. Okay, and if you should look properly, once you're reserved and you don't speak up at the slightest provocation, you're not quick to anger, you observe properly, it makes you feel wise, not look and feel alone. It makes you access problems or access issues properly. Okay, because you're not quick to anger, you're not quick to jump to conclusions and start raging and complaining and shouting and wanting to pull the house down. Do you get? So it is very, very important. And like I said earlier, we know that according to the scriptures, the men are meant to be the head over us. Okay, and according to what we see, okay, I've read books on masculinity and femininity, and we know that for it to be balanced, okay, the masculine energy, obviously the man, okay, and you that has more of the feminine energy has to be the woman, which has more of the better female traits, okay, which is reserved, feminine and beautiful, alluring, and all of that. Okay, we cannot try to switch because this is who we're meant to be. If we try to switch, there won't be a balance. If we try to switch, do you understand? So that is it. So when we decide that, when we start overly telling our spouses what to do, what happens is that man's reaction to being told what to do is the exact opposite. Men are very stubborn. Hey, when you tell your spouse, do this, do that, baby, do this, baby, do that, they'll actually be as if they're actually hearing what you're saying, but they will do the exact opposite because they feel like, she can't tell me what to do. Their ego is out of this world most of the time. Do you get? So instead of you dictating what to do, can you do this or do that? What you do instead is simply suggest as quietly as possible, as peacefully as possible. And if they eventually end up taking your suggestions, what happens is that it helps everybody, but you're not meant to help, right? Remember the example I used about two people driving a car at once. It can be very disastrous. Okay, you don't expect him to listen to you all the time. He's a man. He's meant to take care of you and the family. He's meant to push you guys towards the direction in which all of you should go. So all you have to do is to be supportive and not try to overtake him in leading the family to its destination. Do you understand? And also I feel like when you have a need to tell your spouse what to do, don't speak to this person, don't do this, don't do that. I feel like it stems from a place of fear and insecurity. You are scared that maybe he would, I don't know, leave you or something. You are just scared, you are insecure in yourself, and that's why you feel like you want to tell him what to do all the time. You get? So try the best you can to work on yourself. It's very, very important, because you cannot really enjoy your home if it's always not peaceful. You won't be able to enjoy your home. So if you have any fear whatsoever in your heart, especially if this person in question has not really done anything to you to warrant you being scared or whatever, all you have to do, right, is to look inward. Okay, work on yourself. It's the only way. You cannot try to fix everything. You definitely cannot try to fix your relationship. So look inward firstly, work on yourself, and what happens is that when you get to work on yourself, you realize that your relationship begins to get better, because by the time you start working on yourself, you begin to get more confident in yourself. You begin to let go of whatsoever fear you might have had based on maybe whatever trauma you might have passed through in the past. Okay, you try to let go and work on yourself. Actually, that's the baseline for everything. By the time you start working on yourself, you realize that you begin to get a better relationship, and whatever fear you have, you cannot be in a relationship or even in marriage and you start having fear. Okay, I know we've heard a lot of stories and so many things online right now speculating and flying, but you cannot fully enjoy your home or relationship or marriage with anything or any fear lingering in your heart. You get, so you have to let go of whatever fear and live every day as it comes, and just be happy for yourself. Very, very important. So the ways in which you can actually work on this particular trait of being trying to be controlling, trying to control your spouse in a marriage or in your home, firstly is to work on yourself. Like I said earlier, work on yourself and work on your yes, you have to work on yourself. Very, very important. And you have to learn to like trust your spouse. I read a message recently and the person was like, you don't train your husband and love your children. You love your husband and train your children. He's the head. There is nothing you can do about it. God has placed him over you as the head. So what you do is, regardless of all his everything you think he's doing that might warrant you to want to tell him otherwise, maybe do this instead of doing that. Allow him, okay? Don't try to train him. He's a grown man. He's old enough to do what he wants to do. And funny enough, if you by the time you stop trying to dictate to him, you realize that on his own he wants to do better by himself. Okay, like I said earlier, they will do the very opposite of that same thing you're talking about. They don't want to hear. They don't want to hear you. They are being told what to do in any way. Do you understand? So try the best you can to to do you. Just be yourself and be happy all the time, and don't try to dictate anything to anybody. It won't really help in any way. Do you get? So one of the ways we can actually change this particular attitude, okay, is firstly checking all the areas in which you've been practicing all of this in your relationship. Check all those areas. Make sure that you check all those areas, okay? Pick out the areas where, is it in areas where whenever an issue is raised, you want to share your own view, and make sure that everybody sees your view as the most brilliant of all the suggestions, or the most brilliant of all the ideas? Or is it in the areas where you feel like it doesn't keep things where things are supposed to be, and you're always on his neck, please keep this well, keep that well, keep this well, and all of that? Or just pick those areas out, okay? There's actually another example where you go out today and, okay, you've been the most intelligent. Okay, we know we are usually smart as women. We're smart, especially when it comes to knowing how to relate with people and knowing what to say and what not to say. And you're out with your spouse and he's beginning to say things that he's not supposed to like say, or go off track, and you are this kind of person that likes to always correct him. You don't do it in public. You don't correct your spouse in public. You don't make him look like a fool in public. Rather, what you do is, when you get back home, you talk to your spouse. You tell your spouse how he did some things that he did, and you feel like he should like work on that. Do you get? Exactly. So first of all, you pick out all these areas in which you feel like you are micromanaging your husband. He's speaking to this person, and you want to know who is that he's talking to. You are always asking, who is that? You're trying to choke him by micromanaging him. Do you understand? So the way you can actually change this attitude is by, first of all, like I said earlier, checking the areas in which you've been micromanaging your spouse. Okay, he's not a child. He came to marry you. He's not a child. So all you do is you love him and take care of. Do that for your children. Make sure that you exact for them not to maybe have those short shortcomings your spouse have, you watch them. You can even bring out the alpha traits on them. Tell them sternly what to do and what not to do. Be it a boy or a girl. Train them better, not to become better versions of yourself and your spouse. Do you understand? And secondly, you can actually decide to like always, okay, pick, but the time you've actually picked out the areas in which you feel like you're doing all of this, you can decide on your own to like, what's it called, to create like a mantra for yourself that you kind of recite every day. For instance, you want to easily get angry, you want to easily get triggered and blow the whole place off. Do you get? You can decide to create a mantra like, okay, I won't get angry today. For instance, I won't get angry today, and just keep on reciting it every day. And even if reciting it every single time you remember, and even if an issue comes up where you feel like you need to talk, you are about to spark, you want to, the more you keep on reciting it, the more it helps your brain to adapt. Do you get? And before you know it, when you are in the face of a situation where it's expected of you to get angry, because obviously you would have known your personality already, but it's expected of you to get angry, all you do instead is do the exact opposite of everything you are known for already. Start doing the opposite. The areas whereby and a topic is brought up and you feel like you need to say your mind and air your views and say your opinions, instead of having to banter words with your spouse, what you can simply do is say stuff like, okay, sounds interesting, sounds nice, okay, that's equally okay. And they'll be very surprised, and you will see the kind of improvement you would have in your home, because now you're not trying to drag the steering again with your spouse. Rather, you are just beside and observing. It doesn't mean if you see your spouse putting inside fire, you shouldn't talk. It's just the approach in which you give out your advice, or you dish out your advice. You don't dictate, you don't tell, you don't say do this, do that. No, rather you pick out a better approach to do all of that. Also, you should understand that in your home, you guys are not in competition. You're not trying to compete to know who is the best, or who is better in this, who is more intelligent, who is more detailed. No, it's not a competition. You guys are meant to like help each other, complement each other. So in the areas he has shortcomings, you are meant to compliment him, and the areas you have shortcomings is meant to compliment you, because the both of you are working together for a higher calling and purpose. So you're not in competition with anybody, okay? And it's not your spouse who needs to change. Actually, it's not your spouse who needs to change in any area. It is you. Before you start dictating and trying to like tell him do this, do that, you can actually start with working on yourself first of all, and stopping that attitude of having to what's it called now, dictate what to do. Allow him have his place as the head of the home. Allow him reign, okay? And you realize that you obviously have more peace of mind, and you're a lot more happy, okay? You learn to be vulnerable. You're in a marriage for crying out loud. Unlike the workspace where you're fighting against male colleagues, you are working to get promoted. You're working to get. You are in your home, okay? And just like the feminine and masculine energy that we're going to be talking about in subsequent videos, you should understand that you are meant to be vulnerable as a woman. Allow yourself to just relax. I'm taken care of. Do you understand? You don't put your guard up as the most serious in the world, or the most strong. You don't need all of that in marriage. It's not necessary. Learn to let yourself go and learn to be loved properly. All that time you want to use to tell your spouse or monitor your spouse or check what they are doing or what they're not doing. But if you can use that time in your own self, you become a better version of yourself. So instead of investing all that time in your spouse, invest all that time in your own self, and you won't regret it. Trust me, you won't regret it at all. Okay. So this is all we have for today. This is all we have for today. So please guys, we've come to the end of this particular topic, and I hope you've learned something really, really nice. Okay, make sure that you give that place, okay, to your spouse. As long as your home is not being threatened, you don't need to monitor everything your spouse is doing. As long as he has not done anything in the past to maybe hurt your feelings and stuff, you don't need to be focused on him in any way. Just let go and let God. As Christians, we even have the upper hand because we can just tell the Holy Spirit to take charge. We can just let go, tell the Holy Spirit to take charge, and we're happy. Amen. God is in control. You know what I'm talking about. So with this, we've come to the end of today's topic. If you have any questions or contributions, do write it in the comment section, and I'll be there reading and answering your questions. And if you're yet to subscribe to my channel, please do subscribe. If you're returning, thanks for coming right back. It's a pleasure to have you guys here, and thanks for your support. I'm grateful. And also put on the notification bell so you get notified every single time a new video is uploaded. See you guys in my next video. Bye.